What is going on, everyone? Sorry for that long intro. Today has been a friggin' day, and I'm ready. I'm gonna have some Diet Pepsi alone by itself, of course, to drink, and blow some stuff up in Fortnite, and tell a little story. But let's do this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is definitely gonna be a an unwinding episode. As usual, the channel is Chasing Geekdom. Normally, I am out in. Hey, good, they're going to have another concert. I don't know who that is, but they're always fun. Um, Normally, I'm out in the world covering comic conventions and theme parks and races like the Star Wars half marathon. Since I can't do those things right now because the world is a little broken, I'm flopping myself down here and talking about the same things I normally would. In addition to the coverage while I'm there, I like to use them as a backdrop for talking about other things as well, kind of a built-in production value. And instead of using that, I'm using, Fortnite. Today I need some video game therapy, some explosions, some. Let me just make a request on behalf of anyone any of you will ever work with. Don't avoid more difficult work that comes your way so that someone else will end up with it. That's all. Now that that's off my chest. Especially people that it would fall to that have a big heart, for the work that they do, and it ends up moving on. Today I want to talk about just I want to blow some stuff up, and I want to put some good vibes out into the universe now. Instead of doing brunch madness, I want to talk about a little behind the scenes tale, and it was a film that I worked on, the last film that I worked on. It's been a while. It's been a minute, so to speak. Just want to make sure everything's up and running here. Does appear to be so. It was Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master. And I want to bring up the cast here because, let's see, I had been working Master. It's a 2012 film, and I worked on it in 2011, obviously. And it was the greatest film experience that I've ever had. Any best onset experience, especially as, background. But that's part of the story is where I ended up not just being background, which was kind of epic. But and I'll backtrack a little bit. Starting in 2001 or 2002, I decided I was going to pursue acting, moved to LA from Northern California. And this nice little story is going to be intercut with me letting my rage out from the day, so be prepared for that. In the form of the Dark Knight, just blowing some stuff up. Or shooting other players with imaginary pixelated things, but it's going to feel good. Maybe I'll turn the volume up to make it a little more therapeutic. So, one of the ways to get into the Screen Actors Guild, and now it's SAG-AFTRA, but at the time SAG and AFTRA, American Federation of TV and Radio Artists, were two separate things. And but anyway, so you wanted to get into the Screen Actors Guild because that's where I think at the time most film was SAG and TV was, I can't remember. It's been a long time, but anyways, they're the same thing now. So you want to get into the union so that you can or the guild, because it's not technically a union because they don't get you work. They just secure the conditions and pay and all that kind of stuff for when you do end up having to work. Anyways, I ended up. I'm from Northern California and live in St. Louis now, but at the time I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go back and forth or go move to LA and become an actor. But before I did, I got my first SAG Screen Actors Guild voucher as an extra. So there's a few ways. This is going to be a meandering story because I also need to do my pew therapy, my boom therapy. I'm already chuckling. That's a good sign. There's a few ways you can get in, and the reason why you want to get in is because that's most of the work at the time. If you wanted to do it for a living, that's where you had to be. It's not so much now. There are a lot of avenues to take, which is great. A lot of different revenue streams when it comes to creativity I've kind of unlocked in the last 10 years. But at the time, you wanted to. So one was, if you get a line on a SAG production, then and you're not union, then you'd be eligible to join. But the catch-22 there is so rare because for the most part you need to be SAG to get that line. That's probably the rarest way to get in, just because that by and large you need to get upgraded while you're on set from being an extra, or a non-speaking role, and they're going to have most of the shooting script locked down with dialogue and all that kind of stuff by the time, especially at least the roles that they're going to be by the time they get to set. And there's a very rare circumstance that they're going to be like, wait, we're missing something here in this scene, and we're going to choose to grab one of these, non-union actors that are here as an extra to give them a line. And I'm sure there are other ways that non-union people could get the role, a speaking role too, because I would imagine, I don't have a gun yet, do I? I don't even care right now. Like perhaps you actually scored an audition and you're not, in SAG or whatever. That's also very rare just because of the fact that casting director knows that the production wants someone in the union, and even if they do know someone that's like, oh, they're perfect for this, and I know that they're not in the union, but I can push for it. It's kind of a rarity, just because I think in those instances, they'd have to pay some sort of fine. I don't know where Taft-Hartley falls into all that. You're kind of lazy when it comes to the details of that kind of stuff. Anyway, so getting the line, but it's hard to do, very hard to do so. Another way is, who's doing that? You going this way? I only have a pistol, buddy. I only have a pistol. Get off me. I am trying to find more weapons, bud. Get back to me in a minute. I'm trying to tell a story. I'm trying to blow some things up. Where are you? Ah! You chased me down. Should I close the gap and get him with my pistol? I think he'll win, though. Let's get inside here and get at least one machine gun. So, another way... Here we go. Oh, I got a shotgun. Yeah, come in here, buddy. Let's see what happens. Let's see how powerful this little pump shotgun thing is. Another way to get into the union was to work on what's called 3 different union vouchers. And what a union voucher means is you're working as an extra, and every shoot day on a production, they have a quota of their background that need to be Screen Actors Guild members. So say they have 50 that they need for the day background people. The first, I think at the time it was 25, need to be Screen Actors Guild members, and then after that they can fill in as many non-union as they want. And so if they don't make their quota, say they book 25 and then 5 don't show up, the Screen Actors Guild members, they need to bump 5 non-union people onto union vouchers, and if that happens 3 times for you, then you're eligible to join. It sounds easier than it is, and the stupid mistake I made was I don't really care. I just want to. All right, let's go flexing people. I got my first in San Francisco. I worked on Princess Diaries, first one, and I worked on the second one too, but in Southern California. And it was funny because it was a day that we ended up not even working. So there's such a smaller pool in some of these smaller markets that it's easier to get that little bump. So I ended up getting it on a union voucher, and then I was like, oh, cool, well, I got one, I'll just go to LA and get the rest. That was dumb. And I went back and forth between LA and San Francisco, and I worked like 6 TV seasons, full-time pretty much as a background person on all the different shows and stuff, and never got one because there's just, 1, they could always make their quota, and 2, there was just so many other people out there trying to do the same thing. And yeah, I wasn't much of a schmoozer, so still not. I never did. And then I'd come back, I'd bounce back and forth between LA and San Francisco, and then I got my second one on one of those returns to San Francisco on Serendipity, that John Cusack and Kate Beckinsale film. And I'm like, cool, I'll just go back to LA and I'll get my last one there. I'll just get that last one. Nope. And so the entire time that I spent in LA, I never, ever got on a union voucher. But then, this is all leading to something, I promise. Oops. I got, and this was when I was pretty much over it, like, this is when a lot of the technology was being introduced where you didn't have to be there in LA to, like, you have to be there if you want the big stuff, if you want the great stuff, if you want, yeah, that's yes, but the percentage wise, the odds are it's not going to happen, at that level. I always tell people, like, if you're thinking about moving to LA, think about Party Down and not Entourage. It's Party Down. Even Party Down is unrealistic in that there's in one group of this catering crew, they've got what turns out to be a somewhat successful sci-fi writer, actor, and comedian in her. And it's like, yeah, the odds of all of those things falling together in one catering crew is, it's a bit of a stretch. Oh yeah, and then of course, blonde actor guy. I should know his name. I see him in so much stuff. He seems like a cool dude. Anyways, as far as subjecting myself to that any longer, I was done. I was like, it was too late in life. I gave myself to like 35, I think it was, and I'm like, after that, yeah. But I still had the itch, and I kind of wanted to see what was going on in the Bay Area. This was 2011, and I noticed that Paul Thomas Anderson was in the Bay doing a film. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna not at least make sure I'm registered with the people doing background for that, because to see a master at work, pun not intended, could help, especially stoke my own creativity outside of what's that? Oh, just a car burning down. I need to put some stuff up. There's a guy over here. I wish I had something. I want big boom boom. Not little boom boom. There's a guy. Oh, did I do that? Holy cow! Get those instincts. Okay. I think that. I am impressed with my own self. Just a little bit. He says before. I'll take that. Anyways, so yeah, I was like, yeah, of course I'm gonna check that out because that's, it's PTA right there. Ah. Okay, what's going on here? Yeah, I see you. He's got like scoped thing, I think, and so do I. But man, I keep getting all my juice taken away. All right. So I thought, yeah, I kind of want to throw my hat in the ring to even just be around that because that's, it's Paul Thomas Anderson. So made sure I was registered with the folks that were in the background and stuff. Ended up booking it, and it was, I mean, basically all of it was featured, but because there were some scenes that they were doing where it was just big crowds in the street. Then he also had, if you've seen The Master, with Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman, R.I.P. They had this like core group of like followers in the little, cult, L. Ron Hubbard-esque thing, because that was basically a movie about him, and that movie got shut down. I'll come back to that. Sorry. Because Scientology did not want that film to be made. And you know how great their lawyers are. I should have reminded myself of like all the little things, but it's a challenge to try to, that I like to try to like conjure all of it up in the moment while I'm doing this, and mush brain and angry from work and all that. So I do need for segments like this, I need my bestie who's like the one who remembers my life for me. And he'd be like, don't forget about this part. Don't forget about blah. They're the doom weapons. I want to find that person and I want to eliminate them. Where are you, buddy? Is it you? Is it you? Nope. Someone else. I'm sorry I shot at you, dude. It's not you that I have a beef with right now. Where is this idiot? If you are using the Doom hands, Doom weapons, you come across them and you actually use them to win a match, you're not okay in my book. Fortnite-wise. Anyhow. Okay, let's just hang out here for a minute so I can have an opportunity to... I'm going to be sneaky today. Oh, a little bit. Just a little bit. Where am I going? How about... let's just slink over here just a bit. Yeah. Go. Make sure I have juice. So yeah, we were these like followers that were on the boat. So I worked for 2 weeks on a boat on the bay, and that was amazing. I don't know if I should try to think about this chronologically or not, or just whatever stories end up coming to me. Where we're there. Okay, buddy. I'm gonna find this individual. Punish them. You are the people who dodged work today, difficult things, and forcing me to deal with it. And I am going to put a pixelated bullet inside of your ear. Pixelated ear, that is. Alright, let's... About that. Are you Doom person? I can't tell. Are you Doom person? Oh, maybe you are. Maybe neither. Let's see, is anyone gonna bust out with them? That was terrible. Now, there's only 2 of us left, so... Do I see those weapons laying around anywhere? I don't know. Where'd that guy go? Come on, buddy. Do you have a sniper rifle that get me in the side of my head? Where'd you go? You hiding out? Kind of like this, though. I'm gonna end up closing the gap on this person. Oh, I should have taken some of that juice, but you know what? I'm not really worried about dying. Let's do this. Come on, buddy. Come out. Let's fight. Just shoot me. Come on. Let's finish this. Where are you? Hello? Hello? Oh, you do have them. Ah, how obnoxious is that? Fortnite, get your shit together, man. I am making fly. And making fly. And making fly. And they can spam this. That makes me feel so good right now. You don't even know. I'm letting out aggression. Not only from my workday, but on you fools that are using these weapons to win matches when you know how overpowered they are. Makes me feel better. Guys, that makes me feel better. I would say your name is, and then the name of someone who pissed me off today, but nah. Okay, yeah, the master. So, not doing brunch madness. So, we're just going to talk about people and anecdotes and stories and all that. But I kind of got to go through. And yes, if you knew my name, I submitted my name. So you can do that. IMDb's not like too stringent on verifying or whatever. This is the only one I did where I submitted myself to uncredited. What did I call myself in here? I think I'm like way near the bottom. Unless I could have probably deactivated my IMDb thingy since then. I'm gonna find myself. That's fun. Do brunch madness and then just talk about only my character. I win! It's me. I picked me as I am me, and yeah, so my character has follower, portrait customer, you know. I think right around where I start seeing people that I recognize. EA Doctor. Oh wait, yeah, I gotta go to like full cast or all cast. cast 193 people see, so like I wasn't the only one super proud to be working on it. Paul Thomas Anderson. Let's go all the way to the bottom once I bet him. Let's see how many. Oh, I gave it away. I'm down there. Follower. Uncredited. And then a friend of mine. Oh, he's like way up there, you guys. It's so rude. There he is. That's my dude right there. Yeah, that was a great experience. Let's go all the way to... Oh, here. What am I doing? Where am I going? Let's go to the beach. So yeah, what stories do I have? So it was filmed on the scenes that I was on. It was 2 weeks out on a boat. And Joaquin had some scenes. We'll get into one of those. Of course, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character was him and his group is Scientology, the beginnings of it, but they didn't call it that. We're on this boat. I can't remember why. Maybe it was just kind of like where they got, I should know this, but educated or whatever. But the scenes kind of all revolved around. I don't know, man. It's just my brain is so fried. I don't remember. I mean, there were parties. There was a wedding. There was some study. So I think it was kind of like discipleship, that kind of thing, on this boat. And that was so cool. So cool. Joaquin disappeared into that guy. I would imagine that Philip Seymour Hoffman could have been method as well, but you couldn't tell just because you don't know. I don't know him, and he was so gregarious and approachable and cool to everyone, but that was the character as well. So perhaps that was him, being method. Or I don't know. But Joaquin was understandably kind of, even though we were on this little boat, he found ways to isolate himself. It was the USS Potomac, that's the real name of it, and it was FDR's yacht, presidential yacht, and Elvis ended up buying it, so it was his for a while. That's Elvis Presley. The reason I know these things is because there was a docent on the ship to kind of keep us entertained, so that was PTA. I'm telling you, this is not the only set that I've ever been on that was cool, but it was the perfect example of how, yes, shit does run downhill, but so does greatness and being chill and he was just a master of his domain. I mean, he's still alive, PTA. So he's, speaking of on this production. So we're out on this boat and big swells and things are crazy or whatever, but he's just always of course, finding, different shots and just never bothered. It's just all part of the, we'll figure it out. And then they'd figure it out. And all of that kind of trickled down through everyone in the production. And if you've ever been on any set, you know that that's not always the case. When you have PAs that are all just incredibly cool, and it's easier to gauge when you're background, because it's still a class kind of system when you're on sets. Actors would probably try and beg to differ, but people are on their best behavior when they're around being cast and stuff. So spare me. You have to trust. It's not great. But this was such an exception. Everybody was very, very, very cool. And oh, shoot. Something was shooting from over there. Oh. I haven't shot much with this. This gun is like a toy. That guy's trying to like dip and get me. Closing the gap. 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 I don't know what I was doing there. Give me that. Give me that. There's a lot of people over here, isn't there? I should probably find myself some help. Shooting at me. Shooting at me. Health, anyone? No? Nothing? Holy cow. Do you have any help I can have, please? Maybe this guy? Yes, please. And this, thank you. Yeah. Storage do we got? Where was I? Yeah, so FDR's private yacht. Elvis had it for a while, and I don't know if it was when it was in Elvis's possession that it sank, but it did sink. It ended up hitting, it ran into Treasure Island. If you don't know the Bay Area, Treasure Island is basically it's a little island between the East Bay, like Oakland and San Francisco. Like, you know, so there's the Bay Bridge that runs from Oakland or Emeryville specifically to Treasure Island, and then the second part of it, the western span, runs from Treasure Island to San Francisco. Who is shooting at me? Telling a friggin' story. There's a. I do want to avoid those guys, so how about I go out into the water? Let's go for a swim. Speaking of being in the water. So, yeah, so then they restored it, pulled it up, restored it, and then now it stays in the Port of Oakland, and they do tours on it. And then they rented it, you know, for this production, and they had the docent on board to kind of keep us entertained, literally paying them to keep us entertained as, or maybe they were keeping an eye on us to make sure we're not doing shenanigans to the boat. And you would think that being out on a production like that on a boat for, I mean, they were long days, that, you know, you'd be dealing with a lot of motion sick people, but they had Dramamine that they were handing out. Not everybody took it, but in those 2 weeks, only one person got sick and threw up. And if someone was going to, you would know. It's not like it would be something someone could have hidden, because it was, you know, a small boat, enough places to stash like a movie star or something here and there, but, you know, not for us. Let's see what I can get here. One cool thing, they had this film, word am I looking for? Developer on the boat. So when they were, you know, for dailies and stuff, because they were shooting on film, and it was Annapurna Pictures, which was started by the daughter of the founder of Oracle. But if you look at the stuff that they've made, holy cow, she has got quite an eye for the right kind of storytellers. I love that. Like, production company is so great. Yeah, so anyways, they were developing right there. I remember walking by, and there was, you know, there's always swells, because when you're going under the Golden Gate, there's a lot of, like, going to and from the Port of Oakland are these big freight ships, freighters. That's a good term for it. And So there was always, because we didn't go that far out, so we would be in the bay or we'd go off like maybe a mile offshore, and they would just point the cameras in certain directions so that it would obscure where we are. They did use San Francisco in maybe more than one of the shots, but at least one real like magic hour, just magical, beautiful shot, which was amazing. So there was this film developer there, and I remember walking by and being like, that's incredible. Like, that's someone with some mad skills being able to do that work under the hood, developing that stuff when you're on the stormy seas. I should have written down a list of anecdotes because it's hard to remember while I'm doing this, but again, that's the challenge. So yeah, the USS Potomac was cool. It still had the presidential seal on like the front. What I call it the dance floor because that's what we did on it. There was a scene, that magic hour scene, I believe, is the one. Someone already get this one? Oh yeah, it's doing that thing where like it leaves that. What is that? Why did it sound like it was ricocheting off of something? The heck and stuff is going on there? Hello? I get that they have the little Groot ball, but why did it go tink, 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 tink when I shot them? The heck? Back here and confirm why it is you went tink, tink, tink. Anyways, so, let's see. What stories do I have? Holy cow. I don't want to go to the big one, because there's one that's like, it's like the, I was going to say money shot, but is that inappropriate? It's the big one. It's like the big, it's like the big gift that you unwrap last on Christmas morning, where you're like, or whatever, holiday where you celebrate, where you have one last big present to open. Let's see. I was spared being involved in some scenes that were shot, not on the boat, but in this house on, I can't remember the name of the town, where we had the boat docked, and, oh man, I can't believe I don't remember the name of that town. Anyways, it's up near Napa-ish. Because it was the scenes when it had, I don't know if you've seen the film, there was all the people were naked. And I went to a strip club one time and it was just awkward to me. So, I was like, no, I'm good. I'll keep that in my personal time, not my work time. And yeah, they were sharing, like, a friend of mine who was on the set as well. He was like, it was weird. I was like, yeah, because I didn't know if like I was right to feel like it would be too awkward to if I was lame or something. And I'm like, oh no, I was very professional, and I'm sure it was, but he was like, it was also really just kind of too weird. Maybe it's just because I'm a man child. Are you in here, or are you just shooting through the bush? Where are you? Are you? You did not know where you were shooting. I had you all turned around. I want things. Yes, give me this. Care about that. Oh man, I thought these stories were going to come to me a lot easier while I was doing this, but they are not. Let's see. Let's look at people. Oh, yeah, see, that helped. Joaquin, we'll get back to you, buddy. There it is. All I needed to do is look at a face. Amy Adams. Okay. The one scene where you do actually see me is I'm behind her. There's a scene where they're having breakfast on the boat, and I had this amazing salmon-colored suit that I was wearing behind her. She was very cool. Like, there was a scene where it was a wedding, and it was dude from Mr. Robot and Freddie Mercury movie, Bohemian Rhapsody. Okay, I'll get it. Maybe I won't. Wow, they have this IMDb so weird. He's not even. I bet. Just a Google search would be better. But anyways, there was this wedding, and it was on the boat. And it's just two of us left, and there's that guy, but I don't have anything to snipe him with. That's a. What do you have? Let me guess the Doom weapons. The Master. So, wedding scene. And. Oh, he's in a helicopter. It. Fantastic. Come on, keep hopping. Oh, of course he's a stupid builder. Get out of here, buddy. Oh, right in the face. Noah and Toby. Oh, that would be cool if they were like little brothers and big brother, and then maybe they're twins and they're playing. Good job. Both of you, I assume. One's the man in the chair in the van, telling him, oh, this, that. Go over here. Flank him on the flank side. So anyways, let's look at cast. Here we go. Rami Malek, yeah. So anyway, the wedding. And we're out on the water, and they've got these little, it was like the 50s, I think, it's supposed to be, 60s, deck chairs, and they were real weak looking. They're those little wooden things. They had them all kind of arranged to have this wedding between his character and no idea. Madison? Beatty? I don't know. And Mr. Hoffman was officiating. And so they were bringing all of us in, and they had everybody sit down, and then they had a few of us kind of around the outside standing because they were out of chairs, and they just wanted to have a few of us just chilling. And so they posted me over by the side where there's this like pole that I could kind of hold on to, just hanging out. I didn't know how key that pole was going to be. And as I mentioned, there were these freighters that would come through. And we were only like a mile off of the coast there, maybe less, the Northern California by the Golden Gate. And one of those freighters came through. Everybody was sitting, and it just big one came in sideways, and like all of the chairs collapsed, all the people collapsed, and I'm like holding on to this. I tried to grab someone, and just everybody fell down. That wasn't holding on to something, and that was most people. And this one of my fellow background people. She fell into Amy Adams' lap. And she was super embarrassed. She felt so bad. She's like, oh, I can't believe, I did this. And, she basically helped her up and caught her, all this stuff. I know she said something that was I really should have contacted my friend, my bestie, to be like, what did she say in this moment? But you know, she said something really sweet. She was so cool about it. She's like, don't even worry about it. You know, it's like basically everybody was falling down, and but she was just super cool about it. But it was such a helpless moment when I'm sitting there, like I just instinctually grab the thing, and I just see just everyone just, and there's like maybe 10 of us that were like holding on to things. No blooper reels though. PTA film. So he always puts together like a reel of shots that were cut out and deleted scenes and stuff. One of which I'm just crossing my fingers someday is going to be unearthed. I'll get to that. Yeah, speaking of Rami, I just remember at the time I didn't know who he was. This was 2011. This was before Mr. Robot, all that stuff, I believe. And movies and TV shows. Let's see if they have years on these things. Yeah, Mr. Robot's 2015, so I didn't really know much about him, but his character was kind of mousy, and he was just a nice, chill guy. I remember the scene. It was a scene for dinner, and he had his character's task was to photograph the party, I think. And again, just like everyone else that was there, just very approachable, very cool. I had no idea that Homeboy was going to go on to... Did he win an Oscar for Freddie Mercury? He did. What else we got in here? Looks like I'm back. I think I'll just circle back to the beginning of this Magic Hour shot story. So, boat in the scene was exiting the San Francisco Bay. It's of course there under the Golden Gate. Why not, take advantage of, get a shot of it. And Magic Hour, for those that don't know, it's like as the sun is setting or rising. It's a very small window of time when the light is just perfect and beautiful and wonderful and magic. And the shot was all of us dancing on the deck of this ship that had the presidential seal on it. Couldn't see it in the movie, though, I don't think. No. And after the wedding with Rami and whoever it was he married, I don't remember. And Mr. Hoffman was just the life of the party. And there were some PAs on deck with us, but the bulk of the crew was on this deck, this pier, I should say, in San Francisco, near Crissy Field, actually, if I'm remembering correctly. And going out here in the shadows, and because what was that? Someone's throwing bogey bombs at me? Really? I got you with that handgun. It makes me happy. Your name is that other person who pieced me off today. Ha 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 ha. Alright. I need to get better at knowing what weapon I'm going to when I'm in these fights. That is a weakness of mine. Okay, I got that one. I don't really want this other one. So the shot was, we're all dancing, and most of the crew, again, was on this pier because it's weird. There's going to be some sort of dividing line there. See that on the ground. Interesting. So basically the shot is the boat kind of comes and it skirts this pier where they had the camera on this tracking shot on the dolly tracks. And so it was like a few PAs here and there on the thing, but it was like all of us and the main actors and Philip Seymour Hoffman. And they kind of left it to him, or he just took over just because that was kind of the nature of his character. Even between takes, he was the one in there instead of like a first or second assistant director getting us all, pumped and primed, like being this party master guy, which was kind of cool. Curveball. I like having that in there in your name. That's pretty cool. I like that. I'm on board. Good job, Curveball. Better luck next time. So he was, just being like the ultimate host or whatever, and of course that was his role in the scene as well. It's like, hey, everybody get down. I think it was his daughter that got married to Rami's character, so he was just, being the ultimate party host, and he was on that whole time, even when cameras weren't rolling. It was great. It was really, really cool. The dedication just to character and everything, and it was just so much fun. And if you see the film, you'll see the magic hour and the beauty of that with the Golden Gate. That was just an incredible looking shot. The big one, and I'm sure there's going to be other anecdotes that I remember later on. Oh, there's two. We'll go with this one, and then we'll go with the more personal one. Second greatest thing I've ever experienced on a film set. You can go upstairs, buddy. No, I'm gonna run away. There was a scene that didn't make the film, and it didn't make the deleted scenes either, which it broke my heart. There was a scene where Freddie, Joaquin's character, was... Sorry. There was a scene where, if you've seen the film, Freddie, played by Joaquin, he sneaks on Vallejo. That's the town we were in, right? I don't know, probably. Alameda. Nope, that was okay. Anyway, he sneaks onto the boat, and it's this long, like football field long tracking shot, the dolly tracks, which I've never seen tracks this long before. And there's a super, super duper long tracking shot as he's kind of weaving in and out. There's little old timey cars going by, and he's going behind boxes and all this stuff. And then there's just super duper long. And so it's like, I don't even know. It felt longer maybe than it was in the film, but it felt like it was a few minutes long. It was just so intricate and cool, and so much fun to watch. And you've got Joaquin Phoenix and Paul Thomas Anderson. So these dudes, they've been around the block. They've made films before. So you're just watching them going, all right, this is cool, man. The masters at work doing this little kind of what seemed like oh, there it is. I saw a flash outside, and I'm wondering, like, if that was lightning. I didn't think I saw anything coming in the weather, but I just heard the rumbles. Electrical storms do screw up internet, so. Anyways, this is going to be a weirdly cut together story. worth retelling and retelling and retelling them. So, big long shot. This is actually a good setting for it because it was on a dock, right? So there's a boat. So Joaquin's like sneaking, right? Oh, this is so cool. Glad that I had to sneak in. He's like, oh, there's people over there. Oh, I'm gonna hide over here. Oh, and like all the long while, like this whole thing, but much longer, has these dolly tracks and they're tracking. It's like, oh, maybe I'll sneaky over here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna hide here. I gotta get on this boat, right? Oh goodness, I'm gonna hide right here. Oh, that guy went by. Okay, I'm gonna go over here, and then I'm gonna come up here, and then oh my goodness, and then I gotta make sure no one sees me. I'm gonna sneaky on this boat. So they do this whole thing, and it's super technical and like a lot of fun. Wasn't thinking much of it as far as like their perception of it. You just think this is the thing they do. I was impressed, but I was still like, okay. Yeah, so they do the shot probably 3 or 4 times. And let's go decent way. Yeah. About 3 or 4 times, and they finally get it. I'm like, oh, cool, that's cool. Our characters were, I think, we're just kind of milling about. That's a thing you get to do a lot in the background. Mill about. And this is the scope thing. So they're done and they finally get it. And PTA and Joaquin are really far from each other because Joaquin's like all the way up on the boat finally, and PTA is like at the end of wherever those dolly tracks were taking them. And Joaquin's so excited they got the shot. He starts kind of running off the boat down this little ramp, gangway, whatever you call it. PTA is running himself. I'm like, why are they like running at each other? This is okay. They're excited. They ran to each other and embraced and hugged like they were brothers that hadn't seen each other for 50 years. And it was like knowing what I knew about these two, knowing like the history that they had in film, knowing that they have been around for as long as they had. Like, I don't know that there could have been something, excuse me, more inspiring to experience, to witness than that. Like, because they weren't over it. They weren't like, oh, this is just a thing that I do. They weren't, it was like these masters of their craft being just so stoked about something that they accomplished was pretty much exactly what I needed. And because it wasn't anything that like inspired me to like, oh yeah, I got to go back to LA. I was over that. Like if someday something like that falls into my lap, sure, why not? But there's just so much you can do when not there as well. All of that peripheral kind of. When I say peripheral, so like the big leagues, and the big leagues doesn't mean that it's better material. So there's a lot to do when you don't have to be there to do it, or even to make money. Let's see, we've got 17 left. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life, and just got me so motivated creatively, and stoked that whole like longevity factor. It was like find something that you're gonna love as much as they do. Making that shot even after they have been in the industry for so long, and who they were or who they are, kind of thing. That was just a real treat to see. The other story. There was a scene. This was a deleted scene that did not make it into his little deleted scene reel, which was such a bummer. Kind of surprising, too, because I was like, oh, this is where we'll see this scene. So there's a scene where Joaquin's character, Freddy, is drunk, like really drunk, after he snuck onto the boat. Maybe it was after the party. I don't remember. And they're bringing him below decks to where all of the followers live, like sleep and all that, the quarters. And they had the males and females separated. But they basically, the scene was is they're bringing him through. It's like the ladies' quarters first, and then we're in like the bowels of this ship, and so like go through theirs, and then they're carrying him down to a bunk where they're gonna lay him down, and we're all getting ready for bed after this like party thing, and so you had to go through the ladies' quarters first, and then into ours, and where they set me, they wanted some movement of people, men, through where the ladies were staying, and then kind of through this little corridor, and then into where the guys were. And so at action, they had me kind of near the bottom of the stairway where they were bringing him down, and had me walk through the door, and then you go over, and then disrobe, get ready for bed, and all this stuff. And then, of course, right when I'm down to my skivvies is when they're like, okay, cut, reset, and you're like, I'll put my clothes back on, and it's the kind of thing you get used to when you're, doing background and whatnot. And they found it awkward that there just wasn't enough actual like interaction between the followers, the men and the women, and in that scene they wanted a little bit of filler, and it was such a tight quarters you couldn't do the murmur thing. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll have either a bunch of people say the same thing at the same time, or a bunch of people kind of like, if it's a bunch of people just kind of randomly talking all together at the same time, then it's not them giving you a line. It's like they have to designate, like point out, like you say this kind of thing, and it's going to be, a part of the scene kind of thing. And they were doing that too, because once we got into the other room, they were like, we need references for this time frame, because if it's going to pick up on our kind of murmuring, it needs to be specific, because we're in such tight quarters. And so they were trying to, like, what do we know about this time frame, what do we know about, and nobody knew a thing. Everybody, PTA was cracking jokes, and everybody was just like, whatever. And so we weren't being too specific in those times, but everybody was kind of saying things at that same time in the background, so it's not like someone giving you a line. So it's not one of those things where you'd qualify like, oh, this is the thing that will get me into the Screen Actors Guild, or get me my SAG voucher, or whatever it is. So, but before that part of it, they had they needed a little bit of a filler, because they did find it awkward that like nobody was talking, there was no interaction. So the first AD came up to me and yeah, I'm being sneaky because I want to tell the story. I don't even care. He came up to me and he was saying, oh my goodness, I'm going to look him up because he deserves to be named, because he is my friggin' hero. Cast, producer, director, assistant director, here we go. Adam. Oh, Adam Somner, I love you. I can't remember where he was from. I think from the UK. But he came up to me and he's like, when you get here, like right before I got to the threshold of the door, he's like, I want you to say. And I was like, what? You want me to say? And he said, yeah, I want you to say good night, like to the ladies. The ones that are right over here, I want you to say, like, he's like, I want, and I'm like, okay, of course I'm used to being like the extras version of it. I'm like, you just want me to, gesture, whatever. He's like, no, I want you to say good night. to them, but then he wasn't like super specific after that. But I'm like, okay, you know, and because they literally had a boom over the threshold right there. Of course, like other extras and everything, they were just looking at me like I had just won the lottery, you know, and everyone's kind of holding up, be cool, man, be cool, be cool, be cool. I'm like, okay, and I know that for most people that aren't part of the industry, are like, okay, cool, like you said you were told to say some words, but you don't understand like how big of a deal that is. Where is this guy? Oh, there we are. Was that a robot? Is that your entourage? That's your entourage, and that's you. I see you. Alright. There you are. Oh hey, at least I got that victory on the stream. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So, we are going to go to the lobby, because I'm done for that for the day. I'm not sure where that cut off. I think I got to the point where I mentioned it. They gave me a line. He said, he said, say good night to the ladies. And I'm like, I'm going to take him literally. It seems like that's what he's saying to me. And they have the boom like right over that little threshold where I'm going to be walking through, where he's like, when you get here, say good night to the ladies. Okay. And, you've been saying words for your whole life, so it's like, say good night to some people. So they did probably 4 takes of that part of it before we crossed the threshold and then got into the thing, the front, and each time, of course, I was doing the whole like buttoning, whatever, code over my shoulder, said the thing. I got to the right place. They never complained about how it was said. That's all I was saying was good night. I think I threw in a ladies once or twice, but big moment. I mean, it was also a little bittersweet because it was like I was over it, and that production, we could have had as many, like I could have gotten all of my SAG vouchers on that. So there were some people that had never worked extra work in their life, and they got their SAG eligibility all on that, production, because they couldn't make their quota. And so basically, by the time I was done and over it, getting in SAG and like pursuing that kind of avenue of that kind of acting career, I ended up eligible in 2 different ways on the same production, saying the line and also getting my last SAG voucher. So every once in a while I'll pop onto the website, put in your social, and it tells you if you're eligible or not. They always say like it never expires, so if you're eligible you can join whenever, and I don't want to right now because obviously I'm not doing that work, and also it appears as though they're making some. Anyways, I'm not going to join SAG because I'm not actively, getting hired onto those projects or pursuing that at the moment. So, and also they've been making big cuts to healthcare, which is weird during a pandemic, which is disappointing. But anyways, I know that there's probably some anecdotes, stories, and things from that production that I'm missing. I did get to go to the premiere in San Francisco. They did a screening that PTA was at, which was really cool, at the Castro Theater. I still have a poster from it. It was like a one-of-a-kind little thing. That was really neat to experience with all the people that worked on it in the Bay Area. That was rad. I have a good picture of the marquee that maybe I'll share on Twitter or something. But anyways, thanks for hanging out. 2 out of 3, I think. Was it 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 4? I won like half. And I got to take out some Doom weapons. That was nice. I feel a little better about life right now. Yeah. But as I mentioned, normally I'm out in the world covering comic conventions and theme parks and all that, and I have a little channel trailer just to give you a little taste of what I normally do here. It's 1 minute, 30 seconds. Thanks for coming by. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all the things at Chasing Geekdom. Please come hang out and do whatever you got to do to know when I'm going to be doing these, because normally I need help with the quest that I'm on, Brunch Madness. You can visit the YouTube channel and my live gameplay playlist to know what I'm talking about. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Please watch this fun little trailer and enjoy your night.